Hello, my name is Mitch Miller, Senior Consultant at Rego Consulting, and today we're going to cover how to roll back check-ins using TBM Studio. To go over what we're going to cover today, we'll start with the requirements that you'll need in R12 to use this feature. We'll go over some typical use cases we see our clients use this feature for. We'll then go over the limitations of this feature, and then we'll jump into TBM Studio and do a walkthrough. This feature was last updated in R12 in version 12.2.2. Some of the quick notes here of that update is that it allows you to revert or roll back check-ins using the check-in history. This mimics the feature of undo all that was in R11 in the audit log. Some of the potential use cases that we see a lot of our clients use this feature for, the most common is just rolling back a configuration that caused major errors. We all have validation efforts and items that we do before check-ins or promotions to production, but sometimes things are missed and it causes major changes. Sometimes just reverting it back to a check-in that we know was stable or correct is easier than going through and changing individual files to correct the issue. Another common issue that we see this feature used for is performance issues. Sometimes we don't know the impact of configuration changes or check-ins until we've already checked it in. And so causing long calc times or even long load times is a big issue. And so rolling back to a check-in that we know was stable and had better performance allows us to make more iterative approaches so that we know what changes caused big performance issues. Sometimes clients push things to production too early. The only way to revert that is to roll back the check-in. It'll do a full stage calc, and then you push that older version back to production, causing you to look like a prior state. The last thing, a smaller use case, is overwriting data that can't be replaced. We typically see this with manual files that are updated and uploaded. If that original manual file wasn't saved somewhere or wasn't captured, if those changes were incorrect and you need to go back to that old file, the only way to restore that file is to roll back that check-in. The limitations of this feature in R12, it is an undo all. This is a little different than what was in R11. In R11, you were able to kind of pick and choose what pieces of the check-in you wanted to roll back. In R12, when you roll back a check-in, you are rolling back everything in that check-in. To kind of compound on top of that, if you roll back to a check-in that was a few check-ins ago, you are reverting everything that was done after you roll back. So if you're rolling back to 3 check-ins ago, you are undoing all of the check-ins that happened after that as well. For some typical considerations here, this does cause a full stage calculation to run, and so the check-in will take a lot of time. And depending on your project's configuration, it can have impact to performance. If there are existing calculations, this does not break precedent, so those will have to finish, and then it will need to kick off this full calc to go. So it can compound, so just keep this in mind if you use this feature. The last limitation here is if you've created a branch after you want to roll back, it's unable to do that. So you'll need to close the branch if you want to roll back to a state that was prior to you creating that branch. So here we are in TBM Studio. The first thing we want to do is go up to this gear icon and click on About and just verify that our version is above that 12.2.2 to make sure we can use this feature. Once we verified that, we can just click on OK. Coming up here to the main toolbar up here, we want to click on Build and click on Check-in History. This is just going to give us an overview of all the check-ins that happened in this project. And to do a rollback, all you need to do is right-click on a line and click on Rollback To. By clicking this, it's going to bring in that check-in, and it's going to let you know what tables and what check-ins are going to be affected. So here we can see the rules org TM table is being reverted here. So that's going to be impacted by doing this rollback. You can type in notes maybe on why you want to roll back this check-in, and then go ahead and check in just like any other. And as you go down, you'll be able to see the impact of things grow here. So it's a pretty good feature to at least let you know what's being impacted. And like we said, if there's a branch that's created, you are not able to roll back. So I know that there's a branch being created here. So if I click here, it's going to throw this error saying that there's a dependency on this and branch 2 test is open. And so if I wanted to revert back to this check-in, I would need to go to that branch, close that branch prior to rolling back this check-in. But really, that is it. Again, just make sure you keep in mind the limitations. It's going to cause a full calc in stage. It does take some time. And so just make sure that you understand that prior to doing the check-in. Thanks, everyone.